Hello, this is Heather Scott, and in this video I will be doing a short book review of The Game Believes in You, written by Greg Topo. However, this video exclusively speaks to violence in video games and their effects on children. To learn more about digital literacy, please view my other video that has more content on video games and children's education. So to start this video, I'm going to read the quote at the bottom of the screen. It's not the student's responsibility to put themselves in our place. As a teacher, it's our responsibility to put ourselves in the student's place. And if they're in the digital world where they will invest many hours solving difficult, challenging problems in a video game, it would be criminal if we didn't start where they are and take advantage of the things they want to do. So to begin this conversation, let's discuss why we like to play violent video games. It basically boils down to anything that directly threatens our survival and how it automatically commands our full attention. Mother Nature does this by getting us high on endorphins. When we successfully take risks or make predictions that turn out to be correct, we get a shot of another neurotransmitter, dopamine. The system only activates when the outcome is not assured. The greater the risk, the greater the reward. You could say that one buys excitement with fear, and the greater the cost, the better the product. Since our primal instincts to hunt, to survive, are no longer necessary, our mind is freed to retreat to our imagination, the pleasure of which hijack mental systems that have evolved for real-world pleasure. Putting oneself at the center of violent play, often as an alternative identity, can actually be a healthy exercise. Some say that playing with rage can be a powerful way to reduce the power of fear. And some even go as far as to theorize that being evil and destructive in imagination is a vital compensation in order to let go of our natural and primitive wildness on our path to becoming a good person. That brings us to our next topic. Does playing violent games turn a child violent? Well, no. Video games are just another source of media, like books or TV. And when it comes to books or TV, people are not as eager to put up these barriers, even when it comes to murder mysteries or sex novels. Somewhere we have misunderstood the relationship between video games and their effects on people. And we need to start rethinking the way that we approach this. The United States Secret Service and Department of Education have looked at the habits of 41 school shooters and found that they were twice as likely to like violent movies, books, and especially writings, and preferred them over to violent video games. For example, the Sandy Hook shooter Adam Lanza was addicted to the video game Dance Dance Revolution. Basically, you just dance on some colored squares as you follow the screen. And by connecting violent video games to these violent acts, most commonly school shooters, there is just no relation between them. And the only type of media that actually causes more school shootings is the media coverage itself on the school and the event. And like I said before, these violent offenders have actually preferred books and movies and writings, but yet there is still no stigma being put on these other types of media, and all the blame is being placed on video games. However, decades of research have turned up no reliable link between playing violent games and perpetrating actual violence. In fact, even if we look at the famous Bandura theory on behavior modeling with the punching of the blow-up clown, there is actually anecdotal evidence that clown punching is beneficial if it has any effect at all. The kids who were punching the toy knew that the toy was designed for this purpose, and so it was still within the magic circle of play, and you need to understand their actions on those terms. Researchers noticed that subjects' temporary aggression, natural competitiveness, and discomfort while playing video games. However, they often mislabel these behaviors as holding the potential for violence. The military itself has concluded that there is no direct correlation between playing video games and an increased urge to kill. The video game Marine Doom teaches concepts to soldiers, but not in terms of fostering violence, but rather as mutual fire team support, protection of the automatic rifleman, proper sequencing of attacks, ammunition discipline, and so forth. To support these statements, statistics have shown that video game sales have more than doubled since their popularity in 1996, but yet violent youth offenders have actually fallen by more than half between 1996 and 2010. So as the number of video games increase, the number of crime rates has actually decreased. There are actually some benefits to playing violent video games. When children commit to games, they are opting out of the ordinary real world, and reality becomes the digital excitement of avoiding the other player or players. Experiencing mediated fear gives players the opportunity to experience fear in a controlled way, where we have the potential to conquer those fears, to control the threats in a way that they can't in real life. So what may look like killing from the outside is actually not. The kind of fighting kids do when they're playing, physically or in a video game, is always just a simulation, not meant to hurt one's real-life opponent. Play fighting is derived from the primal instinct to survive. In video games, it comes out as focus and accomplishment. Children need to feel strong and powerful in the face of the reality of the scary and uncontrollable world in which they live in. In a game, kids can play with what is troubling them until it feels safer. The more anxious a child is, the more interested they are in violent content, almost as a way to test how brave they are. We as parents and teachers need to worry less about the media that children are consuming and focus more on doing something about the risk factors by themselves. Games are neither good or bad. It just depends on what you do with them. Played in moderation, with an assist from adults and friends, they're beneficial, with lasting cognitive and social effects. But played as babysitters by children from violent homes, of course they are going to be bad. If a child is highly interested in violent content, it can be a strong indicator that they're struggling with something in real life that gives them a high level of anxiety. When the rest of life is unsatisfying, indifferent, or worse, such as abusive, a child can get pleasure from something that responds to their every gesture and holds them accountable for results, such as killing your opponent in a video game. So, under these circumstances, violent games can become a problem. But if parents pay attention and notice their child excessively using violent media, it can let them know that there's a bigger issue here that needs to be addressed. It might be depression, insecure attachment, low self-esteem, anxiety, or an assortment of psychological disorders. Media is most powerful when it reinforces our existing values and least powerful when it contradicts them. So as a child who responds to a video game the same way they respond to a real-world trauma could be showing signs of being emotionally disturbed. Kids' player aggression comes from justifiable anxiety over real-life violence. We're stifling kids' power fantasies in ways we wouldn't dream of when it comes to fantasies about money, love, adventure, and the like. But when aggression is the topic, we try to puree a million games and dreams and life stories into statistical studies. When we worry that a violent game is going to turn our kids into killers, aren't we the ones who fail to grasp the difference between fantasy and reality? Can video games become addictive? Sure, but so can a lot of other things. Think about overeating junk food or excessive tanning. Games are designed to keep us playing, incorporating what is called the lucid loop, or a never-ending procession of play. However, when we use words like addicted, we are misinterpreting what is going on in the minds of most players. We are failing to put it in context. Other medias don't get such a bad rap. Books are described as impossible to put down, as high praise, or TV shows are described as compulsively viewing, a testament to the skills of the creator. Yet most people don't worry that books or TV shows are appealing, that they present a hazard to consumers. The word addiction is a distraction from the real problem of the player, psychological disorders, such as depression or social anxiety. Once players cross the 25 hours a week mark, their gaming could be a problem and deserves another look. Therefore, any child who plays more than 2 hours a day has entered the slippery slope of misuse and could also fall into addiction. However, the real problem is when children don't feel securely attached or accepted by their families. The child feels a desperate longing for the attachments that are missing. For a person that feels rejected or a lack of emotional security, safety, and love, screen time provides a distraction and a substitute. In conclusion, we're trying to produce happy, creative individuals who are going to lead successful lives, be contributing members to society. To be a success in life is to be happy, and you're only going to be happy if you're involved in doing something you love. But we are not giving kids that foothold. For all the jaw-dropping improvements, computers have had little impact on educational achievement. People are not machines. If we want people to be productive and happy, we've got to find ways to help them own and enjoy doing what needs to be done. Video games don't reward casual effort, mindless repetition, or rat-in-a-cage responses. Instead, they reward persistence and risk-taking. They give the brain a way to filter out distraction and get to the task at hand. Most of all, they implicitly reward those who learn to enjoy the task they offer. They forge experience. Life is not about working or playing, but find the sweet spot between the two. If you are interested in learning any more about video games and digital play involving children, I urge you to pick up a copy of Greg Topo's book, The Game Believes in You, and find out for yourself whether or not you are an advocate for digital play with this new generation.